Alrighty, we should be live. We're going to give it a couple of moments though before we dive too much into this, just because we want to let folks come in from the stream ping. But hello, everyone. Welcome. We are here, TBL Season 12, Week 5 Recap. As always, it is I, your host, FinFin. Audio appears to be good, so gonna roll with that. And I am joined here by the commissioner himself, co-commissioner with me. That's always so fun to say. You know, I'm not going to abuse the power or anything, but Goldoa Dragon Gold, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's technically a bye week, so lots of not so many battles this week. Lots more time for us to just kind of chill. But we've still got work to do here as the commissioners, of course. No rest for the weary.
Yeah, no rest for the weary. Lots of stuff going on. Lots of great matches to recap from this past week. Um, and being able to give you all the replay here um, should be a lot of fun. A lot of fun stuff to go over. As always, we will have our coach interview as well. Um, but yeah, should be a good one. And let's just go ahead and jump into some of these matches.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, as always, we are going to go in the order that the matches took place this week. Also, apologies, some of the replays might not be available up on YouTube yet. A little backlogged with that. Been a hectic week. But the first match of the week was the London Shockwaves taking on the Chicago Failings. And this was a very interesting one. Normally, Addy with a very hard-hitting, powerful Sun team, electing to not bring Sun this time as the Ninetales does not show up, elected to go for more pivotal situational bulk, whereas on the flip side, Chicago Failings kind of went with some hard-hitting mons and some interesting sets. Ends up being a 2-0 victory for the Shockwave, giving Addy 2 points, but a lot of very interesting plays here, as really, I think the key of this match came down to Addy's playing around of the Scyther, early lead, Terraflying, Technician, Dual, Wingbeak, Choice Band Scyther, was just a menace, killing the Hisui and Lilligant, naturally outspeeding it because of Addy not clicking Victory Dance. And so it was just in a position where almost anything that came in on it was set to die. But in the end, Addy able to play around it, not allow it to come in freely for any kills, and Roaring Moon able to just endure, pick up 4 kills, and give Addy a strong win.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Addie talked about it in the post-game interview as well, that she was constantly just never killing something, where Scizor would or Scyther, excuse me, would be allowed to come right back in and fire off an attack, or be able to just be in a decent position. So Addy definitely very cognizant of the Scyther's incredibly good matchup here. It was a great bring by by Godbear. I do this every week with the Shockwaves. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about the Chicago Failings specifically, but yeah, it was a great bring by Godbear, and ultimately enough to earn 1 point for the Chicago Failings.
Yeah, Godbear able to get a very big point. I don't know why it says 2 there. Let me fix that. It is a typo, and even though we're about to switch off the screen, I am fixing it. I don't care. But yeah, no, I mean, it was a very entertaining match. I still love the fact that Godbear brought Scarf Tinglu, revealed that the thought process was outspeed, surprise, and kill the Ninetales, hoping to kind of kneecap Addy's Sun team. But surprise, mother effer, there was no Sun.
Addy kneecapped herself.
Exactly. But diving into the second match, this one was the Boston Red Rocks taking on the Venus Venusaur, and this was a huge win for Boyd. With this win, everyone in the league now has at least one on the season. This was a huge comeback for Boyd, as ultimately it really was just the fact that Walking Wake was kind of a menace early, but bigger so, Venusaur was a huge factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, this one, like, I prepped with Joe before this match, and it felt like he had answers in prep, and then when we actually watched this battle play out, it really felt like Boyd just saw what those answers, the likelihood of what those answers were going to be, and just said, no, I don't think they're answers, they don't count, and just was able to just put Joe on the back foot early and continuously pressure him throughout the entire game, getting, again, that, like you said, that first win of the season, but not just the first win of the season, but a huge 4-0 win for the full 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a huge one, and it really does make things very interesting over in the Violet Conference. We'll talk about that more in the standings later, but it was really an interesting one, and it was a big win for Boyd. Um, really being able to utilize some of that, and we did get to see some of the new mons for Joe. But I will say, I think this match had one pivotal moment that really kind of changed things. Boston Red Rocks brought Levani to try and take advantage of the sun. Terrifier being the new ad. Uh, really, really, really great read on this one from Boyd, as expecting the Levani to Terra, clicks Sleep Powder on the Venusaur, lands it, and normally Levani would have been immune, but because of the Terra, it was then weak. And I think that was really the point that just kind of allowed Boyd to kind of pick up in some momentum there.
That's fair. I like forgot that Boyd also landed every sleep powder, and they were all multi turns of sleep.
Yep, that was a
So
huge factor
that
as
does
well.
help. That does help for sure.
All right, jumping now into the next match. This was the San Diego Pachirisus taking on the Canadian Sacrileges, and honestly, this was a bit of an intense one. I did not watch this live, was not able to participate live, and when I went back and rewatched it, I knew what the outcome was, and I was just sitting here like, hey, how do the Canadian Sacrileges come back and win this? And I was just waiting and waiting, and sure enough, it came down to the Thunder miss. Compound Eyes makes Thunder accuracy roughly 91%. However, that 9% chance to miss reared its ugly head in this one, as the San Diego Pachirisus end up losing 1-0. Still secure a point, but the Canadian Sacrileges continue to lead the Scarlet Conference thanks to some very strong play. And yeah, it just was really interesting early on. Choice Band Urshi was able to kind of put in some major work. But ultimately, Glacier able to stay alive, pick up the kill, and just avoid that last Thunder.
Yeah, that was actually crazy that it came down to that situation right at the end. This battle had a bit of everything, in my opinion. There was hacks, there was reads, there was really fun play, and ultimately the craziness of energy ball kills. It's a lesson that a lot of us learn the hard way, that sometimes you gotta slow down and not click the stab button or the most damage button when the 100% accurate button does the same job. It could be resisted, it could be feel wrong, but the 100% accurate button a lot of the time ends up being the important one. And we actually did see that from the Canadian Sacrileges, who chose to click Terra Blast over a stronger move because they didn't need the additional power in order to kill the Galvantula. So
Yeah,
they
that's
picked, instead of Icicle Crash or High Horsepower, they picked the 100% accurate move, and that's exactly what the battle came down to.
yeah, absolutely. Just it's always a shame when that's how it kind of ends, but it was a great match nonetheless. Jumping in to round out the end of the Saturday matches, we have the Atlanta Talonflames taking on the New York Empoleon. This one was kind of an interesting one. It definitely seemed like early Gold, and you can talk to this, that you are a bit on the back foot as the Talonflames jumped to an early lead with a 6-3 advantage. I mean, the Sneasler set was absolutely fire to get to see. Unfortunately for the Sneasler, though, you had an abundance of priority moves, which put in work. But yeah, it just ultimately was just kind of a big early advantage going in Talon's favor. However, Terrastaraptor once again putting your team on its back and just going to work.
Yeah, and I will say, like, definitely during the middle part of this game, I felt like I had to. I made my misplays early. They were right at the beginning of the game. I obviously didn't have a covert cloak for Dire Claw. That's a misplay I made in prep. But I just made my misplays early. Got down a couple mons right off the bat, and they were good mons too. But again, I prepped for something like Sneasler being a problem. I knew I had answers to it, and figured I could weasel my way out of it in the worst case scenario with just infinite amounts of priority somewhere along the line, and was hopeful that that was going to be the case. Now, to me, again, this match came down to the moment that I recognized that Staraptor, which was Choice Banded, not Choice Scarf, needed to outspeed everything in order to win the game. And I just had to trust and hope and pray that Talon didn't have boots on a couple of mons, namely the Sandy Shocks, possibly the Entei as well, just so that Staraptor could continue to outspeed those and fire off big attacks. And that was what it came down to ultimately, was Staraptor, with the webs up. Shout out to Spidops. Game got 2 kills. So, what a mon. But also, yeah, it was credited with getting 2 kills itself, but the webs are the only reason Staraptor was able to pick up the extra ones. And Talon continues 5 weeks in a row now that we have seen the Atlanta Talon Flames pick up a 1-0 game, win or lose. And we'll see what happens into the second half of the season, because this is starting to look like something that's, worth monitoring.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting. Again, this is another match that then plays into what I think is really fascinating to see develop in the Violet Conference. And so I'm going to be really curious to see how it all lines up. But yeah, the Staraptor, absolutely huge. Getting the webs up was crucial. I haven't gone and taken a look at the calcs. Was there any chance if Sacred Frame got kicked by Entei that the Spidops dies there? I haven't ran the calcs at all.
When?
So instead of Sandy Shocks coming in, if they would have gone Entei on the Spidops and clicked Sacred Flame, would that have killed?
Killed the Staraptor?
No, so it was the turn Spidops got the webs up.
Okay.
If instead,
right?
No. So Spidops comes in, clicks First Impression, kills the.
Kills Kingslayer.
Yep. If instead of Sandy Shocks coming in, if the Entei would have came in there to keep.
From full?
Yeah.
Sacred Fire just nukes me. Yeah, I'm dead.
Okay. It's one of those. I've done so many rando battles that they mess with the leveling that I don't, in my head, I'm like, does Sacred Fire always kill? And that's partially because, it just nukes Spidops even with investment. Just in my head, Spidops usually has like a 25 level advantage on Entei, and so because of that, changes things inherently. So I could guess right off the top of my head. Yeah, I think that was ultimately the key moment, is being able to get the webs up. But hindsight's always like that. But the webs definitely let the Staraptor just go absolutely nuts there for you.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, again, I have more insight into my own battles than I do about other people battling. But from the perspective that I had, I felt like I had to go pre-Marina every time the Entei was in, and I don't think Talon took enough advantage of that, because there just wasn't another switch that I had. And yes, getting a Sacred Fire burn, which never happened, would have been nice for the Talon Flames. But even then, I had leftovers. It was just kind of negating that. It wasn't like actively hurting my pre-Marina or like long term, causing me to lose HP by itself. So I do feel like that first turn, immediately I switched in pre-Marine on the Entei. They immediately switched Sneasler in and forced me in the back foot. That ended up entirely killing my Iron Moth. But then later they never switched out the Entei ever again to double when the pre-Marina was coming in. And I don't know if they were trying to read that I might not double or what, but I was very surprised that my pre-Marina was able to get in and actually check the Entei the way that it was supposed to, and then use Flip Turn to get me momentum instead of my opponent over and over again, because it was kind of the only play I had, and so I was surprised that it continued to work.
Yeah, but definitely paid off and gets you the 1-0 victory.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, keeping pace in this division is brutal, so I'll take it.
Yeah, you are winning, and somehow the gap is getting larger, which is not always good. But going into the next match, this one is mine. Pallet Town Paladins taking on the Roman Polions, and best way I can describe it is this is the match where I finally felt like I was able to use Annihilate the way I've been wanting to all season. I've been running kind of into a wall, folks. Kind of all over the place on how they've been handling it. But end of the day, was finally able to get it. We got, I think at the end, Rage Fist was at like 300 base power or something like that, because Alolamol was just able to kind of wish pass. And ultimately, being able to wish pass and keep things healthy was very crucial in this. And yes, as play comes into the chat, there was also a moment of the Defiant boost from a Scizor clicking Defog. Just really let the Annihilate kind of go very strong. On the flip side, Roman Polion's Archaludon was an absolute menace to try and deal with, it being Choice Scarf. That thing was able, without any special attack boost, was able to kill a resisted Iron Treads that was Assault Vest at like 40%. The thing was a nightmare.
I do always want to acknowledge the bringing Palafin against you, Finfin.
Yes.
Anyone who ever does it, it's a dangerous game to play. Finfin knows Palafin, and almost beat me with it one time with the special set that I did not see coming.
Yeah, and it came down to me not just wanting to risk the 20% miss on the Hydro Pump. But yes.
But anyway, Palafin not. Archaludon the big threat in this particular match, and Finfin playing around that Palafin very easily, as I would expect you to do at this point.
It was a mon that absolutely terrified me so much, just because Palafin, its attack stat is nuts. Yes, I have thrown Choice Band on it so many dang times, but there are some really painful, unique sets that can put in work, and that is what I was afraid of in this case, especially potentially, anticipating the Alola, because if you run Covert Cloak or Substitute, I can't touch you. I just can't. And so it just, having to come with that play in mind. And then the other thing that I think was very big was the HP investment on the Annihilate, letting it live a lot of these hits, but also the speed on Mew so I could outspeed the Yuxi Encore Locket, and that just stopped a nasty plot setup from just absolutely being a menace.
Yeah, getting the Yuxi back for its previous Encore locks of other mods.
Yes.
That's a medicine right there.
But no, this one was an intense one that I had to focus just because I was facing Aaron, and Aaron is a fantastic coach who always brings some really, really annoying sets to have to deal with, and so I felt very confident in this one. But yeah, we can go into the last match of Week 5, and that was the Atlanta Victory Stars taking on the Virginia Victinis, and this was an intense match all the way down to the end. Toxtricity in this one, Choice Specs proved why it is an absolute menace. It picked up a very solid 4 kills in this, getting every kill for the Virginia Victinis in this matchup. However, it was not able to fully break through, as in the end, it really came down to, honestly, when we talk about the EV calcs and things like that, Umbreon play specifically put just a little bit of speed into the Umbreon's EVs, and my goodness, did it come through clutch in this one. Because Virginia Victinis, Skeldurge naturally outspeeds the Umbreon. They put 16 speed in there, so that way if the Umbreon tried to speed creep, it wouldn't be faster. Well, Play says, well, I see your speed creep, and I raise you a speed creep as 40 speed EVs go in on the Umbreon, allowing it to just outspeed the Skeldurge, get a Toxic off before Substitute can go up, and because of that, Skeldurge on a clock kept Umbreon healthy to deal with the Tornadus at the very end. A lot of pivots, a lot of situational plays. It really came down to what Playmaker could do to answer the Toxtricity. Once that Mon went down, Garchomp was able to put some threats and things in the back pocket and apply pressure, but ultimately it really, at the end, came down to just 40 speed EVs on the Umbreon.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was an incredible match. I was watching this one. I was actually in a call with Joe at the time. We were not commentating this battle, so we were just sitting there watching, and we see the team preview, and Joe just goes, wow, Play has a lot of bulk. And I just say, that's a Toxtricity. It doesn't matter sometimes when there's something that's that strong if it's played, in its optimal way. And it was funny that that's kind of how the battle sort of played out. It was just like, how much bulk can Playmaker put in front of a Toxtricity that's just going to not quite get annihilated and eventually wear it down to the point where you can beat it. The Virginia Victinis bringing a lot of offensive threats and very solid offensive pressure, but Play able to withstand it, as you said, and pull out the victory here. Umbreon living. I mean, the speed was necessary for that Tox to get off, but there was a couple hits that it took, and I don't remember from what exactly, where it took just under 50%.
The Toxtricity.
And it was very well calced, and just an incredible bring by Playmaker to recognize what the threats could be, and it was able to again withstand that storm and find a way to get this 2-point win.
Absolutely. And yeah, as a result of all these matches, let's go ahead and take a look at what the standings are going into the bye week. on the the Violet side, I should say, this is what I've been so excited to actually look at. What the hell are these standings? We have 3 4-1 teams and 3 1-4 teams. It is just a inverse of each other on this. So 3 teams currently in the playoffs for the Violet Conference at 11, 10, and 9 points, and 3 teams in the Violet Conference that are at one win with 6, 5, and 4. Absolutely insane. Now, keep in mind, none of these coaches have used their differential weeks so far yet, so a lot of things can happen. But it is just so wild to me that we have Atlanta Talonflames at a 1-4 record, the New York Empoleon at a 4-1 record. Not only do 3 wins separate them, but only 3 points, which means potentially a rough go of things in week 6, and the Talonflames could be right there threatening to take away the playoff spot from Gold.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy that the point system is making it, normally if you're looking at 3 teams 4-1, 3 teams 1-4, you're like, okay, this season is all but wrapped up, right? Like a couple more wins for these teams and it's over. But that is just like not even close to the case. The differential week could actually potentially, depending on week 6 results, the Atlanta Falcons could be the number 1 seed coming into week 7 if they get a 6-0 win and the top 3 seeds fail to score enough points to match them. So just a crazy division to be a part of right now. I mean, again, nobody's looking at elimination. A lot of teams are still looking at what is my path to playoffs, because nobody should feel safe in this division as it stands right now.
No, there's a lot that can still happen. There is starting to get some separation, so it will be interesting to see how things look after week 6 and 7, because that could be where we start to see some theoretical paths to locking playoffs, especially since week 8 is the last week for differential.
Yeah, and we do that specifically because we want to make sure that teams, that we as the casters can try to make playoff predictions or like talk about eliminations. And it just so happens that if you leave the differential week available for the very last week of the season, pretty much anything can happen in the rest of the season. Like, doesn't matter. So we try to avoid that as a circumstance. Meanwhile, on the Scarlet Conference side, we do see that the Canadian Sarah Ledges, who are also 4-1, are going to be taking on the top spot here in the midweek point of the season. Despite the Atlanta Victory Stars being tied in points, the Canadian Sarah Ledges do have a 1-game lead over the Atlanta Victory Stars in terms of wins, which is the first tiebreaker after points. The Roman Polions and Virginia Victinis are also tied in points. The Roman Polions getting the nod over there as well. 1-win difference over the Virginia Victinis. But, getting that bye in the playoffs still very much on the table for those teams, and even making playoffs. 3rd place, which is a playoff spot, through 6th place are separated by 2 points in the Scarlet Conference. So you can be going into playoffs. You could be the bottom of your division, and it is literally 2 points apart right now, which is an insane statistic to look at going into the midway point of the season.
Yeah, I
believe that the Virginia Victinis Roman Polions haven't played yet.
They have not.
If I'm not mistaken, the Atlanta Victory Stars and Canadian Sarah Ledges, they just played.
Yes.
Right.
So Virginia Victinis and the Atlanta Victory Stars just played this week.
Yeah.
Canadian Sarah Ledges, I believe you are right. Let's see, they played.
The Roman Polions and Virginia Victinis play in week 8.
Gotcha. Yep.
So we'll see how that looks at that time. And just looking ahead, right, to some of the next matchups, just to look at some of the stuff that's going on. You don't have to switch screens right now because we're just going to talk about this a little bit. The Roman Polions still have to face the Chicago Phalanx and the Virginia Victinis and the Atlanta Victory Stars. That is their next 3 weeks of matches. So if you want to talk about like controlling your own destiny right now, the Roman Polions are absolutely playing the teams that they need to find ways to beat, or they will find themselves on the outside looking in. That is probably the most interesting schedule, in my opinion, remaining on that side. Meanwhile, on the other side, week 6, we've got the Violet Conference. We've got you and me. We've got you still have to face Addy as well.
Yeah.
I think those are back-to-back games for you. So all of these 4-1 teams are about to start cannibalizing each other right now. And we are definitely looking at some really interesting late season scenarios. Teams probably start breaking away from each other, and solidifying their spot into the playoffs. But a lot on the line here. And again, just looking at like halfway point of the season, but who's played who and where are these scenarios lining themselves up to be? You and Addy have both completed your crossover games, every one of your remaining games for the like specifically crossover week in week 9 will be within the division. So you two definitely have a lot of points you can just gain on those players. Whereas, and similarly on the other side, the Roman Polions have also finished their crossover weeks and will be playing 3 straight weeks of in-division opponents. That stat is also matched by the Chicago Failings. There's a number of teams who've already done this, but a lot of really interesting matchups coming down the pipeline for the second half of the season that are going to really have big ramifications on this playoff hunt. And it really feels like this is going to be one of the seasons that's most interesting to watch as the playoffs continue to be fought for over the course of the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's gonna have a lot to just kind of see how it all shakes out. I'm really, really glad I was able to get this week because, as you mentioned, having to play both you and Addy, it's like my goal is I want to finish 7-3. Now the fact that my hopes and dreams aren't necessarily dashed if I lose to you two really does go a long way. But
Playmaker has corrected me though. He has not played the Canadian Surge. That's correct.
yes,
Week eight for the Scarlet Conference is Virginia Victinis versus Roman Polions and Canadian Cerulages versus Atlanta Victory Stars. That's a pre-built schedule. That is going to be such an interesting and important week for the season, and so I'm really excited to see it. Obviously, a lot of time before that, but both those matches will be happening in week 8. So a lot to look forward to as the season continues.
yep. So be on the lookout for those. There's gonna be a lot of really good matches here in the next coming weeks. But let's go ahead and take a look at seeing what some of the kill leaders are at this point in the season. A little bit of a shakeup as Rhyperior was not able to continue its streak of getting kills. Because of it, it does drop a little bit as Gyarados now takes the number 1 spot, going 2-0 this week, putting it at an 8 differential. 3-way tie for second place with a 6 differential in Iron Crown, Hoopa Unbound, and Rhyperior, and then a couple of Mons on the outside looking in, all tied, including Gold Staraptor, which picked up some huge kills this week. And I think one of the things that's stopping Staraptor from being up there is just the fact that most of its hard-hitting moves are all recoil based, and so it's a lot of
Yeah, we'll
times
eventually die.
yeah, it's going to eventually die, and that kind of puts it on timer.
Yeah, unlike most sweepers. So Staraptor's trade-off, right, is that I don't have to set up. I don't need to
Yep.
click Dragon Dance. I don't need to click Rock Polish or Calm Mind or anything. I just hit the move, but eventually it will fall to its own hubris, I guess, its own recklessness, perhaps. Um, and so yeah, that's a really interesting mon though, and I love breakers personally. That's my preferred playstyle. I don't usually find a mon to set up and sweep. I like having the other team just chipped away at until something can come in and just clean it up. And that is a playstyle that always has favored just having really powerful breakers, things like Gardevoir, Staraptor, that come in, hit really hard right off the bat. You don't really need to set up with them. Just slap a choice item on them and they just go crazy. And then they'll eventually lose, either the speed matchup or getting overpowered or overwhelmed. And then something can come in and pick up those extra kills. You'll see that those mons don't end up being kill leaders over the course of a season, unlike a mon like Gyarados that can get 6 kills in a week, as we've already seen this season. Pokemon like Roaring Moon that can do the same, Iron Crown, but they do end up for me it's really, really helpful. So while I rarely have a mon at the top of the kill leader list, I feel like I generally have a lot of success throughout the course of a season. So
Yeah, I find it funny you list Roaring Moon when it got 4 kills and 2 of its moves were taunt and like
maybe I
not
should start running that with my Staraptor. Maybe I should be running like taunt U-turn.
gotta get that roost in there, help its
I know.
longevity. But
Does
yeah,
it still have roost? I don't even know if it still has roost. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't even looked.
well, it makes sense for it to have it, so no, it doesn't have it, is my guess.
Naturally, that's how it works at this point.
Yeah. Now, something else I do think is interesting of note is just taking a look at the kill leaders. In the top 8, I only see one S tier mon, but taking a look at it, Probopass, Staraptor, Hisuian Lilligant, Kilowatt, Troll, Venusaur, Iron Crown, Rhyperior, Hoopa Unbound, Gyarados. I mean, of these mons, which I actually should say is top 13, 9 of them are Terra Captains, which is always interesting to me.
Yeah, and arguably Roaring Moon should be an S tier. That one may have gone a little under tiered. It's a hard mon to
We're,
place. It
we're,
kind of fits
we're
in
going
the
to say
middle of
it
those two.
should be S tier now that Addy has it because it's going to destroy us all.
It shouldn't be allowed on the team that Addy had built with the rest of the
Thank you,
availability.
Boyd.
But yeah, shout outs to Corviknight, I think, for holding down the fort of non S tier, non Terra Captain on this list. I think it's the only one.
Iron
Or
Crown.
Iron Crown, right. Uh, but yeah, I mean, steel types, I guess, can get some kills, but otherwise, yeah, Terra's. Well, we're gonna do a deep dive into the data on our bi-week stream, which will be happening, I think, over the weekend. But definitely some really interesting points to make about how does the extra Terra Captain help you? Well, if you're using it well, it can be a kill leader for the entire season. So definitely something to keep in mind and look out for as we move forward.
Yep. And going into it, quickly touching on transactions, there have been none made as of yet. Again, need to update this.
And while
No,
Duncan does that, I just want to give the caveat that things that happen during the bye week will count as a week 5 transaction. So
yes.
you don't, like we say as of yet, because there are still a few days left before the start of week 6, which means any transaction that occurs can still take effect immediately.
Yeah, so still can make your transactions here upcoming. Also, as Goldoa has mentioned, for the bye week, likely to be this weekend, we are looking for volunteers wanting to take place. Currently, the plan is wanting to do a randomized Pokemon ROM and basically playing bingo to where you'll be on stream playing your game. First one to complete a bingo wins, where all the items, Pokemon, locations, things of that are randomized. So that's the current plan. Should be a lot of fun. More to come on that, but we are looking for volunteers. So that's something where you're like, hey, I should be free this weekend. I'll have time. I want to do that. Reach out to myself or Gold, and we will see if we can't get you on the docket for that. But with that being said, nothing else is new. So we are joined on the call by Coach Aaron, coach of the Roman Polions. Again, right now on the season, Aaron is currently sitting at third place in the Scarlet Conference, 3-2 with 6 points on the year. Currently in a very strong position. Aaron is a very seasoned coach in the TBL. And yeah, Gold, I'll kick it over to you to lead the interview.
Yeah, Aaron, welcome on
Hello.
in.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Why don't you go ahead, give a little introduction about yourself, your draft league history, your TBL history, however you want to do it. Talk about yourself, the Roman Polions, and your experiences.
Well, Maron, if you guys don't know me, I have done draft league since 2018, I believe. Have done a couple of seasons of the TBL. I don't remember which one was my first season. Paul probably knows, but I believe
I
it
will
was
I will
season
be able to
6.
pull that up for you momentarily.
I'll pull it up, Gold. You
I
sent me
believe
the
it,
thing.
I believe it was season 6. I'm not sure.
Season
but I
6.
believe-
Yeah, season 6.
Okay, then I was correct. And I have done many other leagues. I run myself 2 leagues. One that is Wi-Fi, similar to the TBL, but without the Twitch aspect. And the other one is an Uber's Wi-Fi league, which I also run. But yeah.
And yeah, honestly, just a little bit more about your personal TBL history. Aaron has set multiple records in the TBL over the course of the time. When you joined in season 6, you set a record for highest single season differential in the history of the TBL, which actually has never been exceeded. So it's still the current record. Aaron went 8-2 plus 31 that season. Notably, that was a season where every win got you 4 points maximum instead of 3 points maximum. And Aaron picked up 30 points with a differential of 31, which was the only coach that season and for many seasons after that who was able to get more differential than points, which is really hard to do when you're getting 4 points for a win, because that means you're averaging your differential above 4 points per game, which includes your losses being negative. And then Aaron would actually match that record again in season 11 last season with a differential of 30 and a 9-1 record in the regular season and 23 points, which again, a little bit easier when there's only 3 points on offer per game instead of 4. But still not something that many coaches have done over the course of their TBL careers. So one of the most dominant coaches in terms of per game differential in the history of the TBL. Aaron joined the TBL and went 16-4 in the first 2 seasons, made playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons, and I think won your division in the first 2. So just a very impressive, record right off the bat in the TBL. Do you feel like you've had more success in the TBL than in other leagues, or do you feel like that's just something that you've experienced throughout the Pokemon community overall?
That's a really good question because I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about comparing my success, I will say, in TBL to other leagues. I would say that part of the leagues that I constantly come back to, TBL is one of the ones that I do the best in. I would say that.
Having played with you in
But
other leagues, I think that that's true.
yes,
Yeah, you're currently sitting at, but excluding this season, roughly a 65% win rate, which is
Yeah,
including my 2 seasons that I did horribly.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's one of the highest win rates in the history of the TBL. That's regular season only. It doesn't really factor in playoffs in this particular calculation, but still just one of the most impressive players. I always used to compare you and Quincy, and I don't know if you even were aware that I would do this in my head because you two joined around the exact same time, both stormed onto the scene with incredible records overall. And so I was just like always looking at the two of you as just like huge upstarts in the TBL. Obviously, you had your own careers in Draft League prior to that. But it was really fun to watch you two compete every single season over the course of the season 6, 7, 8 era before Quincy ducked out. But yeah, that was really fun to watch and just get to be a part of like the experience of seeing you two sort of burst onto the scene in the TBL and see a lot of success. I will say I also do want to congratulate you. Since this season you have managed to accrue 2 wins. You've actually managed to get 3, but your second one was your 40th win in the TBL regular season. So congrats on that. You are the 3rd person to ever reach that mark. So that's longevity and just like an impressive number. So congratulations for managing to hit that milestone.
Thank you. I didn't count, like, I wasn't counting my wins, so I didn't know it was my 40th win. So that's a pretty good number, I believe.
Your 40th win was your 2nd one this season. That was your week 3 win against the Atlanta Talonflames, in case you do want to know that.
Now I know that.
And yeah, you'll never not have that information in your head. And I'm hopeful to continue to see you in the TBL for many seasons to come as well. As many people know, you make the following season of the TBL. There's 3 ways to do it. The first is if you play in that season of the TBL and you make semifinals, you are automatically guaranteed a spot to come back. There's also 2 coaches that get voted in, and then otherwise everyone else is brought through the preseason. Aaron, for many seasons, was one of the few people who never played in the preseason because you kept winning your division and then continuing to just get brought back innately into the TBL. So I actually don't know how many preseasons you've even played in at this point, but it was funny to watch because people would be playing in the preseason and Aaron just always getting invited back via that semifinals appearance.
Times I played in the preseason.
The first season that you had to do it, and then
First season, and then the 2 times I did horribly.
Yeah, if you see Aaron make playoffs, expect Aaron to win a division and make semis because that's usually how it ends up going. But yeah, like why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of the mons that you really like? I know that TBL especially has some of your pet mons that everyone knows are yours, and it's weird to see anybody else use. I know Tornadus T is one of them. So do you have any Pokemon that you sort of associate with their own Polions in your experience, either at the TBL or in other leagues as well, that you just love using and feel like really represent you?
Well, I would say in the TBL, even though I have used Tornadoes Therian 3 times, I believe, in the TBL,
I believe that's
7, 8,
correct. Yeah,
7, 8, and one of the times I didn't do well.
I think that's correct. Yes.
I wouldn't say that's like one of my favorite mons to use. It's very nerve-wracking. But at least in the TBL, I would say my favorite one that I have used. It's a tie between 3 months. Heliolisk in my first season of the TBL, Heldio last season,
Yeah, that was a menace.
and Buffaland in the first season of the TBL that I did.
Oh, Big Boof. I still call it Big Boof from the streams from that season. So that definitely is iconic and has lived the test of time for sure. Oh my god, I forgot that you had the Heliolisk and Buffalan at the same time. Because yeah, no, looking back at it or thinking about it now, like those definitely were two mons that I certainly associate with you, even to this day. And so, is there anything that you haven't gotten to draft in the TBL that you've used in other leagues that you think would be fun?
Maybe not this season because I don't know how to say it, but I am not liking Ogerpon this season. I don't know why, but I have used the other 3 Ogerpon forms to great success. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the problem on my playstyle or the way I have used it. I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed the other 3.
I was surprised to see you take Ogerpon Teal in a format where no matter which Ogerpon you took, it was going to take up your A tier slot pick, because I think Ogerpon Teal is generally considered to be a little bit weaker, and so it sort of offsets the value that you can get out of it by taking it in a higher tier slot pick.
The reason I picked it mainly was because I have already won championships with the other 3 Ogerpons. The only one that I'm missing is Ogerpon Teal.
Haha.
I have one with Cornerstone, I have one with Heartflame, and with Wellspring.
So you're just trying to get the
Trying to get the final
set
Infinity
this time.
Stone.
I respect
Yeah.
you thinking that you're just going to get a TBL championship.
Hopefully, I tend to fail in semifinals always.
You do have a history in the TBL of getting there,
Yes.
and not getting through it.
Failing.
Yeah, I guess I didn't want to ask about it, but since it's here anyway, do you feel like there's a mental block in the TBL playoffs? Do you get more nervous or anything for TBL playoffs? Because I've seen you have success in other leagues. You win a lot of championships in your career, but the TBL you make it to playoffs and then it feels like you just hit a wall.
I feel like because it's playoffs, I tend to build my teams, like give more time to building a team. I feel like it's playoff worthy. Because in all fairness, I tend to build my teams in like 5 minutes. Gen it quick before the battle. If I have to gen them, if I don't have to gen them, maybe I take 2 minutes building a team. But with playoffs, I do take more time. I test the team and everything. So I pretty much don't know what happens.
Do you? So we actually have had some debates with previous people on in these interviews. What are your thoughts on mocks and prep in that way? Because it sounds like most of the time you actually find a lot of success with less time spent, agonizing over the prep. Do you feel like mocks add value and you like them, or are they something that you generally don't see a ton of like value add from?
But in my opinion, I feel like mocks to give value because it may give you insight on some like options that maybe you aren't seeing in the moment. But at least in my case, I don't have people that would help me mock. So usually I don't mock. Sometimes here and there I do some mocks, but they aren't like every time. Because again, I usually prep. I take 2 to 3 minutes prepping, and he's always like right before a game.
I mean, like that sounds crazy. I mean, I know you do that, and I don't think you're lying, but that sounds crazy to me. Like the idea of being ready for a match with, you know, like I that's kind of how I build mock teams for somebody else. Is I'll stare at the match for about 15 minutes, and then I'll have something put together, and it usually ends up being a pretty decent representation of what ends up getting brought. So maybe I'm better at that than I think I am, but for my own matches, I feel like if I do that, I just struggle. When it gets to the actual battle, I just there again, like you mentioned, there are things I didn't think about, sets I didn't foresee that end up being huge problems for me, and so I respect anybody who can do that. And I know we've had a lot of people in the TBL in the past, yourself included, Yahudals and others, who just that's their preferred style of prep. So um, it's crazy to me, but for those who it works for, uh, it works, and I can't deny the it adds value to them. So
Well, I think one of the big things is a question of when you are in the moment making plays, are you going based off of muscle memory or are you going based off what's in front of you? Because I used to myself do prep and do so many mocks and things like that. I had to stop because one of the issues I found is I would get so tunnel focused as what was happening in front of me that I'm like, you know what? I've seen this so many times in mocks. I know this is what's coming. Oh, they brought a different set. I'm screwed. And now that I'm kind of forcing myself to just quickly, like, hey, come up with something creative on the fly, it forces two things. One, it forces you to be more familiar with your mons, to have things in the back of your head without having to go research, trial and error, and things like that. But it also forces you to kind of trust your gut. And for a lot of coaches, that's honestly the safer way to go because it's a matter of, hey, I know what I'm doing. First thought, best thought, usually is how it is. And if you have to try and do too much with it, you just end up making it worse for yourself. And at least having played against Aaron, it doesn't surprise me he's able to come up with things on the fly because he has a very good understanding of Pokemon in general. Like from what I've seen, it feels like Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, you know what your team has and what you're capable of, and so you can kind of quickly, at your resources, just develop a team out of it as what's needed.
Yeah, you're right. That's mostly it. Also, I would like to add that I feel like it's, I don't know if you could call it a skill in mainly while the battle is happening, like what you said. You talk about being so hyper focused, like one set is going to one set is going to come, and then your opponent brings another set. I feel like it's important to actually adapt and see maybe the different like options. I will put an example of a battle, a week 3 battle. I believe it was week 3 against the Atlanta Talonfleet, where as soon as I saw the lead, I knew the Sandy Shocks was Pashover because the way that team was structured, not many months can, I would say, quote unquote, check or counter League Palafin. So knowing those kinds of options is really helpful in a match.
I hear you. I mean, that's the kind of thing that makes somebody a very difficult battler to face, because Pokemon is inherently a game of information, and when you see the 6 Pokemon on the screen, the second that moment happens, you've narrowed down their moveset possibilities, their, switch-in possibilities, and you can make a lot of assessments. But the one thing that is true of every Pokemon, no matter which Pokemon it is something like the item, right? No matter what Pokemon it is, they can run pretty much any item. And being able to sort of isolate the likely items or the probable ones that make the most sense, or even if you're wrong, the one that would have been the worst case scenario for you to play around, is such a valuable, mental capability that a lot of players, I think it's a tier that players struggle to reach. And it's impressive to hear someone who's there and just kind of talking about it like, of course I can do this, of course I knew this, of course I had this knowledge, because that's just something you get over the course of playing for many, many years and many, many games. So it's always really cool to hear somebody who has that sort of capability and knowledge, be able to pull the information out, as they continue to play in this community. One thing I did want to ask you about, Aaron, before we wrap up here, and this is just more of a personal pet question than anything else. So for those who don't know, besides just Draft League, Aaron is very invested in like game nights with people. And Aaron has run trivia nights, like Jeopardy style trivia nights, for Pokemon communities. Aaron ran an entire game of Survivor that took like 2 months or something, where we had like once a week we would do like competitions on Discord, and we had to vote people out, and it was crazy. And so I participated in these. I co-won. I still think that vote was suspect. I don't know how I didn't win that league by myself, but
It was a 3-3-1 vote at the end.
Stupid one. For the record, though, I'm pretty sure I would not have won that season if I have ever lost an individual immunity challenge, because I think everyone would have voted me out immediately.
No.
So it was a crazy season. No?
Actually, no. No. Actually, no. Maybe if the other players, like your allies, would have turned against you, yes. But if you didn't win, you were safe.
That was such a fun season, though. I mean, so like, honestly, I still think about that sometimes. I watch Survivor, and people will be like, "You'd be really good at this," and I'll sit there and be like, "I did sort of do a mock simulation of this, and I did do.
I've
really
run
well,
the simulations. I would do very well.
Yeah, it was obviously there were some differences between that and Real Survivor. For instance, one of the guys and I, who was on a different tribe, set up a DM like immediately, and we're like, we could just run this game from the 2 tribes and feed each other information, which you definitely can't do in Real Survivor. But it was a lot of fun. And so, do you have any plans to continue doing events like that? Is there anywhere someone could reach you if they wanted to join for that type of event? Like, again, Jeopardy style Survivor things. We've done PBAL versus TBL draft wars before, so anything that someone would want to hook up with you for learning about these events, do you have anywhere that they can do that for?
Well, for the Survivor situation, I was planning on bringing it back. But
that's fair. That was a lot of work, I'm sure.
Yeah. And but most of the stuff is in the PBAL server. Or like just end me in Discord, and if you are interested, I will add you, and you can join. Like, there is no problem.
Yeah, definitely join the PBAL server. DM Aaron for information there, because really good league too. I've played in it many times. Unlike Aaron, who's been consistently in the TBL every season, I think I have done every other season of the PBAL since like season 6. Somehow, I just alternate them. The timing just works out really well for that. So, a huge proponent of that league. There's a lot of overlap for players between the two. So if you like the people here in the TBL, you will like the people in the PBAL, I promise. Just don't expect when they tell you that it's a upload required league that Aaron's going to upload anything.
Now, I did upload last season.
I am a witness to that. They did indeed. Aaron
It only
did.
took, what, 14 for you to finally get one get one full one in? But no, honestly, yeah, definitely check out the PBAL, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good time. Great community over there as well. And I think older or the same age as the TBL. I don't know which one is older. The two leagues have sort of run concurrently for a very long time, and again, we have a lot of fun connections with them. I think we've run that draft war at least once, maybe twice, PBAL versus TBL. So, definitely check them out. Can't say their praises enough. Super fun community as well. Aaron cultivating an incredibly wonderful place to hang out and get to play more than just draft league. Again, I love the TBL for beyond the draft, right? Doing the zany seasons, doing the preseasons, doing the trivia, the brackets, everything else going on. And I think the PBAL is one of the few other places that I see that has, Jeopardy nights and Scriblio nights and just events going on that are just super fun, and people get to join in on that are beyond just the draft league. It's more of just a community than a league server. And I, for one, commend anybody who has the ability and time to make that happen, because it's not easy to find that and build that. And I think Aaron's done a great job with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Finn, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I have to just say I really appreciate all you're able to do while still staying engaged with so many other leagues. I know you and I have done a number of leagues together off the side, probably nothing compared to what you and Gold have a history of, but a lot of fun, different, unique things from the PBAL to Ubers and seeing you all over the place. So appreciate you being able to find time to do it all.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want? Yeah, go ahead.
I say that because usually I do my battles on weekends, so that's when I have time.
Well, you made time for us today, so thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you jumping on in. Is there anything you want to say to people before you get off? This is your chance to pitch anything, anyone. Yeah, whatever you want to say here.
I really have nothing to say.
I was going to say, well said.
if you support me, my team, whatever, thank you for the support. Thank you for the invitation to the interview. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah.
We do have one question that we always ask each coach now, and that is, who's going to win? You can't name someone who's already been named, though. So I will let you know if that person has already been named when you say them.
You're changing the rule on that regularly. It went from you can't name Addy to you can't name a repeat.
Yep. Okay. Well, Addy was the primary one. Obviously, Zach, Addy. There's a couple people who've been named already, so you're gonna have to pick someone more interesting.
Anyone but me.
The next person has to name you. I see what you're doing. But no. Like give us someone you think is an upstart this season, someone who you think is gonna go far, maybe has a chance to win it all.
Let me check the document because I don't know. Let's see how they do it.
Oh, so you need me to tab back over to the standings page on the call?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
You can pull it up for the viewers too.
Already done.
Somebody said you, Fin.
No?
No one has said me. They wanted.
Fin.
I was gonna say normally we try to be correct with this guest, so
That's my answer, Fin.
Confident. Very quick.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna prove you wrong, but I appreciate it.
I was like, not many people are doing that good. Well, I ain't doing that good either. But anyways.
Yeah. Fin, right now tied for most points and most wins in the entire league. So certainly a great halfway point to consider as a possible candidate. We'll hope Fin doesn't get errand by winning a division and then flaming out in semis.
I just need to win one playoff game so I can avoid that streak you warned me about.
Are we talking about it now, or do you want to talk about it another time?
Just that Gold warned me that the record, if I want the record of most playoff appearances without a win to start off a career in TBL, it's 3. So I need to win one soon.
Wait. The record is what?
The record is
2.
Actually 2 right now. So Aaron, you are one of the people who holds that.
Yeah, I am
distinction.
I know I hold that record. That's why I asked.
Yeah, you are tied for that. Thankfully, you have managed to end your streak, so you don't have to worry about it going any further.
Yeah.
Technically, the person who could beat Fin right now is the San Antonio Sparse and Indomitable Will, who went 0-2 and has not played in the TBL since then in playoffs. Went 0-2 in playoffs, for the record. Made playoffs twice, not just 0-2 and left. And they have not come back, so they have not broken that streak. So it's still a possibility that they could at any moment return and make playoffs and lose their third game and set a new record in the TBL. But yeah, Aaron, one of the people who had 2 straight losses before managing to pick up the first playoff win. So definitely.
It was quarterfinals. It was semifinals.
Yeah, got you to semis.
Yes.
Importantly, so you could just make sure you didn't win in semis again.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, thank you so much for hopping on, Aaron. It's always a pleasure to have you to get to commentate your battles and talk to you. So really appreciate your time.
Yeah, but
Thank you
with
for
that,
having me.
we always appreciate it. And we appreciate having you. And for those wondering why we picked Aaron this week, Aaron volunteered last week. So the sooner you volunteer for these interviews, the sooner you can claim a spot.
Yeah, you don't want us to force you to do it later in the season when you're not sure you'll be available. So pick a week you know you're going to have time, because we will force you.
Yes.
We will ask you to prioritize us over whatever your real life is, if you are one of the last coaches we need to interview at the end of the season.
Yes, but
that's a promise, not a threat.
But let's go ahead and wrap this one up, taking a look at the schedule coming up. Now, again, this is the bye week, so no matches this week. But once we come back from the bye week, there are some great ones that we can look forward to. Goldoa versus myself. That is going to be a very contentious battle, as I have a feeling that Gold and I are going to beat each other up, so Addy is then able to just step over the corpses, take first place, and be very secure and never look back. That is my current prediction.
Hey, don't throw Joe under the bus. Don't throw Joe under the bus. Joe versus Addy is the next match on this list right now, and I believe in Joe. So
yes, that is not a knock on Joe as more as it just is fearing Addy. I don't know what's made me fear her more, from when we let her get Great Tusk, or when she lost week 1 to some craziness, and now we're all fearing that, or when Boyd gave her Roaring Moon. Any of those 3 are very, very, very understandable reasons to be full of fear right now.
Yep, and yeah, so obviously Fin and I, a very marquee matchup at the top of the Violet Conference. Addy gonna be taking on Joe as well, the Boston Red Rocks specifically, because the other Joe and the Atlanta Talon Flames will be taking on Playmaker and the other Atlanta team in the third match of next week. So lots of fun, interesting matches going on over there. On the other side of our little table, we've got the San Diego Pachirisus taking on the Virginia Victinis. The Roman Polions will be taking on the Chicago Phalanx, and the Venus Ouijasaur will be taking on the Canadian Cerulages.
Yeah, so a lot of fun, exciting ones to come after the bye week. But again, just because it's bye week doesn't mean there's not going to be any TBL events going on. Please be on the lookout in the server for announcements revolving around the bye week events. And with that being said, if you'd like to take part in them, please reach out to Gold or myself, and we will do what we can to get you in on the event. But Gold, anything else you'd like to go over before we wrap up?
No, just a couple of very, very quick, housekeeping things. Transactions, the last week to do transactions will be to submit them during week 7 so that they take effect week 8. So that's going to be coming up relatively quickly. Again, we did mention that this week during the bye week, if you submit a transaction, it will be active immediately for week 6. Obviously, if you submit one during week 6, it will be active for week 7 and so on. And I do want to give a quick congratulations to the Palatown Paladins and the London Shockwave, who have both made it to 4 wins, 4-win streak, I should say. There's other teams that have made it to 4 wins, but those are the only 2 this season that have gotten a 4-game winning streak. I do log every single 4+ game winning streak in the TBL. So if you want to check out past TBL records in the Discord, it is there, and they have been marked as having completed that. I believe this is your first ever 4-game winning streak in your history in the TBL, Finn. So congratulations on that.
Planning to make it 5.
Addy had a 4-game winning streak. What?
Planning to make it 5.
We'll see. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen. But last time Addy had a 4-game winning streak, she also had a 10-game winning streak, won the entire season, went undefeated, and proceeded to destroy all of us. So that's a daunting thing to see as the season progresses at this point. But the other thing I do want to acknowledge that I think was funny is that there is only one player in the history of the TBL who has an 8-game winning streak and a 6-game losing streak at different times. Would you like to take one guess as to who that is?
8-game winning streak and a 6-game losing streak. I'm just going to play the numbers here and guess you.
It is not me.
The numbers I'm referring to being the fact that you've been in the league every year.
That's true. But no, that distinction is held by none other than our guest today, Aaron. Who has managed the 3rd longest winning streak in the history of the TBL and tied for the 3rd longest losing streak in the history of the TBL. So, when we talk about him having some ups and down seasons, the numbers don't lie. But yeah, just a fun little fact while I was looking at some of the data earlier for this interview. But other than that, we're going to let you all go. We will be back again this weekend, not for many, many battles as we usually are, but for one fun, non-battling stream to remember that we all enjoy Pokemon as a game and want to play it in multiple different capacities. So thank you all so much for watching. I think that'll do it for me. Take care, everybody.
Thanks all. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, just have some fun with it. We will see you all this weekend. Take care.